Good morning, my dear children. Today we will continue with the same chapter, the Age of the Mauryas. Let's begin the chapter learning about Bindusara. So, Bindusara was son of Chandragupta Maurya. He was the second emperor of Mauryan Empire who ascended the throne about 297 BCE. Chandragupta Maurya, Bindusara's father and founder of the Mauryan Empire, had already conquered northern India. Bindusara's campaign stopped close to what is today Karnataka, probably because the territories of the extreme south, such as those of the Cholas, Pandyas, and Cheras, had good relation with the Mauryas. After the death of Bindusara, all his sons were engaged in a war of succession. They were fighting for throne. After many years of conflicts, Ashoka won the war of succession and became king. So Ashoka was the third king of the Mauryan Empire. He ascended the throne in 273 BCE and he was the one of the greatest Indian rulers. Unfortunately, his name was lost to history. He was identified by the British scholar and the Orientalist James Prinsep. And since then, we came to recognize Ashoka as one of the most fascinating ancient monarchs for his decision to renounce war, to refuse the policy of wars. All these informations we get from the rock and pillar edicts spread over a large part of India. So this becomes our archaeological source of information. Not only these, but modern coins also inform us about this period. In the previous video, I told you about the literary sources, and here we have our archaeological sources. So, during Ashoka's reign, Kalinga was the only kingdom which was not under Mauryan control. And it was very important because it controlled the land and sea routes to South India and Southeast Asia. Kalinga, that is present day Odisha, you can see in the map that grey part. So this was very important part to win. When Ashoka won this place, lot of bloodshed was done. Rock Edict 13 describes that 1 lakh people were killed in this war, several lakhs perished, and 1.5 lakhs were taken prisoners. And it is clearly mentioned that this war had a devastating effect on the people of Kalinga, and also in the life of Ashoka, this became the last war. Because all the bloods and pain of people that Ashoka witnessed there had moved him completely. And this was the time when he decided renounce wars. Renounce means give up, refuse. Not only he refused wars, but also he embraced Buddhism. And he devoted himself to the well-being of his people. So Dhamma is a Prakrit word for the Sanskrit term Dharma, which means religious duty. I told you Ashoka gave up on war and began to follow a policy of conquest through Dharma. After the Kalinga war, the propagation of Dhamma became the utmost objective for Ashoka. And his edicts explained Dhamma as a moral law, a common code of conduct or an ethical order. Further, he says that it is not a religion or a religious system. In several pillars, Ashoka explains many good deeds as kindness, liberty, truthfulness, gentleness, self control, purity of heart, attachment to morality, inner and outer purity. These good qualities are to be pursued ardently. So, with all these good deeds, he wanted to instill a spirit of tolerance, coexistence, and non violence and respect for elders and people. He asked his people to speak the truth, respect other religions, follow the path of ahimsa, non injury to all living creatures, be charitable to the poor, be kind to all, including servants and slaves, respect and obey elders, live together peacefully. So, these were the principles of Dhamma. Why he wanted to spread all these things? Because he was deeply affected when he saw the sight of Kalinga war. All the blood shed moved his heart and he decided to give up on war. It was Kalinga war after which Ashoka decided to embrace Buddhism. All men are my children, and just as I desire for my children that they should obtain welfare and happiness both in this world and the next, the same do I desire for all men. These are the words of Ashoka. He was deeply concerned about the welfare of his people, and for the good of his people, he did few things. First, he built good roads and planted trees on both sides of the road. He constructed rest houses for travelers. He built many hospitals both for people and animals. He regularly went on tours and tried to solve the problems of his subjects. Through his life, Ashoka wanted to set an example. So he led a life which was an example for other people. He wanted to show people how one can follow Dhamma. And this was a great way to spread Dhamma. So he started following Dhamma in his daily life. So the first thing that he did, he stopped the killing of peacocks and deer for the royal kitchen, for food. He stopped the killings of animals. Second, he appointed officials called Dharma Mahamatras to spread Dhamma. These officers went place to place and spread the message of Dhamma. Not only in India but also to Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia, Central Asia and Egypt. Third step was that he issued many edicts. Edicts means command. And in all these commands, he described the moral principles that he encouraged. And the language that he used was Prakrit, because this language was spoken by all. And all these commands, these edicts, were engraved on rocks and pillars. Like this one, you can see. All his commands are engraved here on this rock. And these rocks and pillars were set in the public, like in marketplaces, in temples, where a large number of people gathered so that they all can read it. And these types of edicts have been found in India, Pakistan, Afghanistan and Nepal. That's it for today, children. If you have any confusion, please ask.